I always imagined that if my marriage ever ended, it would be after long discussions, maybe even counseling, something gradual, something that made sense. But that's not how it happened. My marriage didn't end with a fight. It didn't end with tears. It ended in a single sentence. Lorna stood by the doorway, her coat already on, her purse slung over her shoulder. She wasn't hesitating, wasn't fidgeting. There was no guilt in her eyes, no sadness, just cold, matter-of-fact indifference. "I'm going to meet another man. If you try to stop me, I'll call the police and say you assaulted me." I felt my body go cold. My ears started ringing. My mind was still catching up, still trying to process what she had just said, while she just stood there looking at me like she was waiting for an answer. A joke. It had to be a joke, right? But her face didn't waver. Lorna, my own voice barely sounded like mine. She rolled her eyes. "You heard me. I'm done pretending. I deserve more, and I found someone who gives me what I need, so I'm going out, and you're not going to stop me." The casual way she said it, as if she were informing me about a dinner reservation, made something inside me twist. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was something worse. I was numb. For the past few months, I had felt something shifting between us. She was distant, always on her phone, always making excuses to leave the house, and I ignored it. 8. I convinced myself I was imagining things, that she was just stressed, that maybe we were going through a rough patch. But now, standing in front of me was a woman who had already moved on, and she wasn't even hiding it. I should have said something, done something, but my brain refused to function. She scoffed at my silence. "God, don't look so shocked. Not like you haven't seen this coming." And with that, she turned and walked out the door. I stood frozen in place, the silence in the house swallowing me whole. I didn't chase after her. I didn't beg. I just stood there, staring at the empty doorway, feeling my entire world collapsing on itself. But as the weight of it all began to sink in, a different thought crept into my mind. If she thinks she's won, if she thinks she's walking away from this without consequences, she's dead wrong. And that's when my phone rang. It was my cousin. "Hey man, I've got bad news, but also a way to make things right." I didn't answer my cousin's call right away. My fingers hovered over the screen as it buzzed in my palm, but I just stood there, frozen in the quiet aftermath of Lorna's departure. The words she had said, so casual, so unapologetic, played on repeat in my head. "I'm going to meet another man. If you try to stop me, I'll call the police and say you assaulted me." That wasn't just betrayal. That was a direct threat, a warning that she was ready to ruin me if I didn't comply. And that realization broke something inside me. The call went to voicemail. Then a text came through. "Pick up, man. You need to hear this." Exhaled sharply. My hands shaking as I finally pressed the call button and brought the phone to my ear. Yeah, my voice was hoarse, like I'd swallowed gravel. My cousin Dylan wasted no time. "Lorna's cheating on you, bro." Let out a humorless laugh, rubbing my eyes. "Yeah, no kidding. No, I mean, she's been at it for months, maybe longer. And the guy? You're not going to like this." I sank onto the couch, my chest tightening. "Just say it." A pause. "Then it's your boss." My heart stopped for a moment. I thought I had misheard him. The room around me blurred as my brain struggled to process the sheer absurdity of it. "Excuse me?" Dylan sighed. "You heard me. I've got proof, man." I wasn't sure at first, but I started noticing things, her showing up near your office when she had no reason to be there. The way he acted around you, like he was hiding something, so I did some digging. I squeezed my eyes shut. "How do you know?" "Because I saw them together." His voice was tight. "I was at a bar across town last week, and there they were, all over each other like a couple of teenagers. I wasn't going to say anything until I had proof, but now you need to see it for yourself." A file popped up in our chat pictures, taken from a distance, but unmistakable. My wife, my boss, kissing, holding hands, acting like a couple. And suddenly, everything made sense. The late nights at work, the unexplained expenses, the way she had been growing colder, toward me while I broke my back at the very company where the man she was sleeping with signed my paychecks. Rage bubbled up inside me, but I pushed it down. I had never been the type to react impulsively. No, if I was going to do something about this, it had to be smart. Dylan must have sensed my silence. Listen, I know this is a lot, but I have an idea way to get back at her, at both of them, without doing anything that could blow back on you. I gritted my teeth. I'm listening. You remember my friend Jace, the tech guy? I nodded, even though Dylan couldn't see me. Jace was an old friend of his, someone who could hack into just about anything given enough time. Well, he owes me a favor. If you want, I can have him dig deeper, get access to her messages, her locations, maybe even her finances. And if we find something useful, well, you'll have options. Options. That word hung in the air between us. I had spent years thinking my marriage was built on trust, on love. I realized I had been living in a carefully constructed illusion. If Lorna thought she could just walk out on me, humiliate me, and leave me with nothing, she had no idea what was coming. I took a deep breath, my fingers tightening around the phone. Do it. Dylan didn't hesitate. Consider it done. Give me a couple of days, and I'll get back to you. After I hung up, I sat in the dark living room, staring at nothing. I wasn't just heartbroken. I wasn't just betrayed. I was awake. And when Lorna came back home that night, acting like nothing had happened, she had no idea the clock was already ticking. Lorna walked back into the house just after midnight, no guilt, no hesitation. She tossed her purse on the counter, kicked off her heels, and gave me a quick glance like I was nothing more than a piece of furniture in the room. I sat in the dim light of the living room, gripping a glass of whiskey I hadn't even touched. She didn't even try to explain herself, didn't act surprised to see me still awake. You're up late, she said casually, walking toward the kitchen. I studied her as she grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge. There was no shame in her body language. If anything, she looked relaxed, like she had nothing to hide anymore. I forced a neutral expression. I had a lot on my mind. She leaned against the counter, smirking. Yeah, maybe you should try getting out more. Clear your head. Clear my head. As if I was the problem, as if I was some clueless idiot who needed a change of scenery while she snuck off to be with my boss. I took a slow sip of my drink, watching her carefully. Where were you? Shh. She rolled her eyes. No excuse, no cover story. She didn't even bother. And that's when I realized she thought I was weak, as she thought I would. Just accept it, that I'd let her come and go as she pleased. That I'd swallow my pride and keep my mouth shut. She had no idea. Well, I said, setting my glass down, I hope it was worth it. Her eyebrow twitched just for a second. What's that supposed to mean? I shrugged. Nothing. Just wondering if he treats you better than I do. For the first time all night, she hesitated, a flicker of something in her expression. Shock, anger, maybe even fear. But it was gone in an instant. Don't start, she muttered, turning to leave the room. I let her go. I wasn't going to waste my breath arguing with her. She had already made her choice, and thanks to Dylan, I had made mine. The first crack. The next day, I went to work like nothing had changed. I sat in my office, answering emails, taking meetings, pretending that everything was fine. But the moment I saw him, the man who had been sleeping with my wife while signing my paychecks, took everything in me not to react. Ray Lancaster, CEO, my boss, a man I had trusted, respected. Now I saw him for what he really was, a smug, arrogant coward who thought he could have anything he wanted, including my wife. He barely looked at me as he passed my office, his usual cocky smirk on full display. Maybe he thought I was still in the dark, or maybe he just didn't care. But that was about to change. By noon, Dylan texted me. We got something. Call me when you're alone. I locked my office door and dialed. Dylan didn't waste time. Dude, you're not going to believe this. Tell me. Jace got into her messages. She's been planning this for months, talking about how she's going to divorce you, how she's going to make sure you get screwed in the settlement. She even asked him if he could pull some strings to make sure you lose your job. A slow, cold rage spread through me. She wants me fired? Oh, and it gets worse. Dylan hesitated. She's been transferring money, small amounts spread out over different accounts. Looks like she's stashing cash before she makes her move. I clenched my jaw. So she's not just cheating. She's trying to leave me with nothing. Yeah, Dylan said darkly, and Ray's been helping her. I closed my eyes for a second, steadying my breath. Okay, I said finally, then let's make sure that when she leaves, she's the one with nothing. Dylan chuckled. Now you're talking. We spent the next hour laying out the plan, step by step, carefully calculated. I wasn't going to lose my temper. I wasn't going to make a scene. I was going to outsmart her, and when the time came, she wouldn't even see it coming. I went home that evening feeling different, calm, focused. The initial shock had worn off, and now I had clarity. She wasn't just betraying me. She was setting me up to fail. That changed everything. Lorna was already home, lounging on the couch with her feet up, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. She had no idea the ground beneath her was about to collapse. Hey, she said without looking up, dinner's in the fridge if you want it. That was the extent of our conversation, no guilt, no attempt to explain herself. Just the cold detachment of someone who had already checked out of the marriage. Perfect. I sat down across from her, pretending to scroll through my own phone, while in reality I was reviewing what Dylan had sent me: bank transfers, messages, plans. Every piece of proof I needed was sitting in front of me. She thought she was being sneaky, slowly pulling money out, making arrangements to leave me in financial ruin. But she didn't know that I had already started working on a counterattack, and then I saw the message, sent just 2 hours earlier. Lorna, I think he knows something. He's been acting weird. It doesn't matter. Just stick to the plan. Once we move the rest of the money, we're good. We won't have a leg to stand on in court. I nearly laughed. I thought they were in control. I thought they were winning. But they had no idea I had already started stacking the deck against them. The first move. The next morning before work, I met with a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. A shark. I laid everything out. The cheating, the stolen money, the manipulation. There. And when I showed her the evidence, she leaned back in her chair and smiled. You're in a better position than you think, she said. With this, you can flip the script entirely. She explained what we needed to do. It wasn't about confrontation. It was about strategy. I reacted too soon. Lorna might catch on and move faster. But if I played along, let her think she was still ahead, I could trap her completely. That's exactly what I planned to do, letting her think she won. At work, I acted normal, forced myself to sit through meetings with RI, pretending I didn't. No, he was actively trying to destroy my life behind my back. But I noticed things now. The way he smirked when he saw me. The way he avoided long conversations like he didn't want to slip up. And then there was Lorna. That night, she was practically glowing, smiling to herself as she typed away on her phone. You had a good day? I asked casually, taking a sip of my drink. She glanced up, caught off guard by my tone. Yeah, busy though, you. I smiled. Same lie. My day had actually been spent secretly closing our joint accounts, canceling the credit. Cards she'd been using, and moving my direct deposits to a private account under my name only. By the time she realized what had happened, she'd already be drowning. She leaned back against the couch, stretching her arms. Hey, I was thinking I might go on a little trip next weekend, just for a few days. Clear my head. Which meant she was making her move, probably planning to disappear with Ree, while I sat at home clueless. I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. That sounds nice. You deserve a break. She blinked. That wasn't the reaction she expected, but she shrugged it off. Good. I'll text you when I land. Another lie. She wasn't planning to text me. She wasn't planning to come back. I watched as she grabbed her suitcases and stepped out the door, practically skipping to the car, waiting for her outside. And then, the moment the door shut behind her, I moved, pulling the plug. While she was on her way to the airport, probably dreaming about her new life with Ree, I was sitting at my laptop, destroying everything she had set up, bank accounts frozen. Her secret stash of transferred money legally seized and returned, her access to her savings gone. By the time she landed, she would be flat broke. And just to make sure she felt it immediately, I canceled her credit cards mid-flight. I wasn't just cutting her off. I was stranding her. The fallout begins. The first call came in when she landed. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. Lorna, hey, there's something wrong with my card. It's not working. Call me Lorna. Okay, this isn't funny. I can't access our account. What did you do, Lorna? Call me now. Let her sweat for a few more hours, then finally I answered. Hey, Lorna, I said casually, like I had no idea why she was panicking. Her voice was sharp, furious. What the hell did you do? Can't access any of my money. My money. I smirked. Do you mean the accounts you were slowly draining? Yeah, I caught on to that. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. You have no right. I have every right, I interrupted, my voice cool. You thought I'd just sit here while you ran off with my boss, stole my money, and left me with nothing. You don't understand. No, Lorna, I cut her off. I understand perfectly. You were planning to divorce me and make sure I was ruined in the process, so I did what any reasonable man would do. I made sure the only person left with nothing was you. Her breath hitched. You can't do this. I already did. The silence stretched between us, thick with tension. And then, in a voice so small, so unlike her usual arrogance, she asked, What am I supposed to do now? I almost felt sorry for her, almost. You should probably call Ree, I said. See? If he's willing to support you now that you bring nothing to the table, then, before she could respond, I hung up. I stared at my phone for a moment, then let out a long breath. It was done. Lorna was out, and the best part, this was only the beginning. I didn't hear from Lorna for the next few hours, and honestly, that was fine by me. I knew exactly what was happening. She was scrambling, frantically calling Ree, trying to figure out her next move. And Ree. Well, I had a feeling his loyalty only went as far as her bank balance. By the time she finally texted me again, it was exactly what I expected, Lorna. I need to talk to you, please. Ah, there it was, the desperation. I took my time before answering. When I finally did, I kept my response simple. Me. No thanks. She called immediately. I let it ring out. Then she called again and again. I finally picked up on the 5th attempt just to hear her fall apart. You bastard, she spat the second I answered. You ruined everything. I leaned back, stretching my legs. I did. I thought you were off on some dream vacation with Ree. Her breathing was uneven, and for the first time I heard panic in her voice. He left me. I smirked. Of course he did. What happened? I asked, feigning concern. A long pause. Then, in a whisper, she said, I was supposed to handle my own finances. He thought I had money. I almost laughed. So that was a tree. Never cared about her. He was only with her because he thought she was going to walk away with half of everything I had. The moment he realized she was broke, he cut her loose. I said, letting the sarcasm drip into my voice. That must be tough. Her voice wavered. You need to help me. I have nothing right now. I don't even have money for a hotel. I pretended to think about it. That's rough, but wasn't your whole plan to leave me with nothing? So I guess this is what nothing feels like? You don't understand? She snapped. Oh no, I understand perfectly. You thought you could use me, drain my accounts, and run off into the sunset with my boss. But guess what, Lorna? The only person who got played here was you. Silence. I could practically hear her breaking on the other end. Then, in a desperate whisper, she said, Please just let me come home. Just for a few days. I let that hang in the air for a moment. The audacity. She betrayed me. She tried to destroy me. And now, after all that, she wanted to come back. I took a deep breath, then calmly said, Lorna, let me be absolutely clear. You are not welcome in my home. In fact, by now, you should probably check your email. A few seconds of silence, then I heard her fumbling around. Opening her phone, scrolling, and then a gasp. She found it. The divorce papers. It already filed, already airtight in my favor. No, she whispered. No, you can't do this. I already did. She started to cry, begging, pleading, talking about how she made a mistake, how we could work things out. I let her talk, let her humiliate herself. Then, when she finally stopped, when she was waiting for my response, I simply said, Goodbye, Lorna, and I hung up. I thought that was the end of it, that she would disappear, slink off into whatever miserable existence she had left. I underestimated her desperation. The next morning, I got a text from HR. HR, hey, can you come in today? We need to discuss something important. I knew immediately Lorna wasn't going down without a fight. She had one last card to play. She was going to try and take my job. The final battle. When I walked into the HR office, I wasn't surprised to see Ray sitting there, arms crossed, smug as ever. And across from him, Lorna, looking fragile, broken, playing the victim. The HR manager sighed. Listen, this is a complicated situation. Lorna has come forward with some concerns about workplace misconduct. I almost laughed. Workplace misconduct? She was really going this route. She claims you've been threatening her since she ended the relationship. The manager continued carefully, and that she no longer feels safe. I glanced at Lorna. She refused. To meet my eyes, I exhaled slowly, then turned to the manager. I have proof that she and Ray have been having an affair behind my back for months, that she was actively planning to take my money and ruin me. I also have records of financial theft, which my lawyer is already handling. So if we really want to get into misconduct, I suggest we discuss Ray's abuse of power first. The HR manager blinked. That got his attention. Ray shifted uncomfortably. Now hold on. I turned to him, smiling. Did you think I wouldn't collect evidence? That I wouldn't be ready for this exact moment? I slid my phone across the table, opened to the messages, Lorna's texts to Ray, the stolen money transfers, everything. The HR manager picked up the phone, his face growing paler with each scroll, and just like that, the tables turned. Ray was fired. Lorna. Well, without a job, without money, and with divorce papers already in motion, she had nothing. She tried to call me one last time that night. I didn't answer. Instead, I sent one final text. You wanted to leave me with nothing. You lost everything. Enjoy your new life.
Oh, yeah.
And then I blocked her. For the first time in months, I finally felt free. Lorna thought she was playing me. She thought she had control. But in the end, she played herself. The morning after everything fell apart for Lorna and Ray, I woke up feeling different. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was no weight on my chest, no endless spirals of anger, betrayal, or plotting my next move. It was over. I stepped out onto my balcony, coffee in hand, and just stood there for a moment, watching the sunrise. I wasn't just free from Lorna. I was free from the toxicity of our relationship, free from the job where I was disrespected, free from the paranoia and mind games. She was going to really gone. I didn't block her because I was angry. I blocked her because I was done letting her live rent-free in my head, done replaying what she did, done thinking about what could have been. Life was moving forward, and so was I. The aftermath. The fallout from the whole situation was almost poetic. Lorna tried to fight the divorce, but with all the evidence I had, she didn't stand a chance. She got nothing, no money, no house, not even the car she once bragged about picking out. Ray? He lost his job immediately. His wife, yes, he had found out everything and left him, taking most of his assets in their divorce. Turns out, karma works fast when you least expect it. For me, I took my time figuring out my next steps. I left the company not because I had to, but because I didn't need that place in my life anymore. I had enough savings, and thanks to some smart investments, I wasn't struggling. For the first time in years, I had freedom, and I was determined to make the most of it starting fresh. 6 months later, my life looked completely different. I had moved to a new city, found a job I actually enjoyed, started taking care of myself in ways I had neglected for so long, and one day, while grabbing coffee at my favorite spot, I met someone new. She was nothing like Lorna kind, smart, genuine. Someone who didn't play games or keep secrets. It wasn't an instant fairy tale. I still had scars, still had moments where the past crept in. But for the first time in a long time, I felt hope. One night, as we sat on a rooftop watching the city lights, she turned to me and said, "You seem different, like someone who's finally at peace." I thought about that for a second, then I smiled. "Yeah," I said, "I think I am." And just like that, my new life truly began. Final thoughts. Looking back, I don't regret what happened, because in the end, it set me free. Lorna thought she was taking my life away from me. Instead,